Hello and welcome to DM&D. I am your host, Argent Wind, or Jim, as the case may be, and with me is our wonderful producer and fellow DM and stuff, Danans.
What's up, guys? How's it
Hey,
going?
yes, it's been a while. We've had a lot of things going on. There's summertime stuff and people coming and going, and some other things that needed to be dealt with and recovered from, and all this
Still
other stuff
recovering
here.
from.
So.
Hmm.
Yeah, still recovering exactly here. So good to see you there, Dow. Hey, 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 in the chat there. Anyone else? Please jump in and say hi and everything else here. Today we are talking about LitRPG. This is on my mind here because, well, a few weeks ago, one of the reasons why I wasn't able to do a show was I was off in Denver for LitRPG Con. What is lit RPG? Well, I'll give you a hint. If you know anything about Dungeon Crawler Carl here, that's a lit RPG. It is a genre of fantasy and science fiction, a subgenre of fantasy and science fiction that leans into a system, level up, progressions, um, where you have like our old books, like the Dragonlance books we talked about a little while ago, talking about inspiration for campaigns and characters and everything else, um, where those books were set in fantasy worlds that had games associated with them, even modules and adventures, and they still do. The books themselves didn't really talk about stats and levels and gear, and it was all very much a narrative focus and else. Well, in lit RPG, you lean into the system, the stats, the rules of how the world works. And a lot of the settings are going to be something like either characters are in a virtual reality type of setting, they're in sort of a system apocalypse, um, or there's almost like an isekai reincarnation kind of thing up there. So if you know isekai from anime stars or like that, it's very similar to that, where basically someone is getting some sort of a level up mechanic or some sort of a system interface they can interact with. And in some of these worlds, everyone can do that. In some of these worlds, in some of these stories, only select people can. Um, and in some of them, very few can, depending on how things work. Um, the idea of lit RPG, it's really taking a story and adding that level up system style things we would expect from RPGs, from role playing games. Um, and the funny thing is that it's becoming really, really popular right now, thanks to partner to Dungeon Crawler Carl. Getting there's a TV show coming out. There's a role playing game, an actual role playing game, tabletop role playing game coming out in November. Had a very successful Kickstarter campaign, and it's well into production. Um, and so we're going to be seeing actual things here. And I'm sure at least one person will be running some Dungeon Crawler Carl here on our server. At least some one shots, maybe not some campaign, maybe not full campaigning up, but definitely some one shots. Um, and because I'm really looking forward to trying it out and to seeing how it goes. It looks very, very fun. But what why are we talking about this? Well, partially because I'm very much into it right now, but partially because these stories, these books, are a great exercise in building a system, building a role playing game. So if you want to build your own, these books are a great way to learn how to do that because every one of them has a very unique system in how characters level up and progress, and they all have their own styles, and there's a lot of inspiration to take from that if you want to build your own role playing game or to modify existing ones to accommodate these kind of story elements. For example, as I said, the Nuclear Clock coming up with its own role-playing game, but a lot of the different stories that are out there, people have been converting. One of them being He Who Fights with Monsters, a very, very fun story. I will say I'm not a fan of reading it, and the reason why is because the system interface stuff is very sort of distracting. There's a lot of bold-faced text with item descriptions or ability descriptions, and everything else that. Where the narrator, you can kind of like, it's kind of fun to listen to them describe it, to read it. Um, but that does become something that lit RPG authors have to kind of balance, is how much system do you want to have and how much story do you want to have? And some authors do a really good job of balancing that, and some uh, need to work on that. We'll just say, but regardless, anyway, there's a lot of fun stories, a lot of crazy things, some awesome characters, and some great stories. But what I'm getting at here is that the game mechanics that are explored, the ideas of the way characters grow in these worlds are a great inspiration for a role-playing game to set whether you're using a system similar to what's in the book or just a standard like a D&D or a Daggerheart or a GURPS or anything else that any of those little systems there could be adapted to accommodate these things here. So if so Nans, I know you're a fan,
I am.
at least of one says there. What are some of your favorite elements, game elements from Dungeon Crawler Carl?
Um, Game
Spoiler free, of
elements.
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the system obviously is a big part of what's going on there.
it is.
But
It's
yeah,
massive. Like it's not even like a little bit. Like when you get into the nitty gritty of it, you find out a bunch of things that have happened with it, and you're like, well, that makes sense now. But I think I like the best is and this would be some temporarily paralysis for some people because that's how it works when we're building characters, right? Is picking your classes,
yeah.
and every level they go down, well, fourth level varies,
Third level, sixth level. Yeah,
right?
yep,
You're right. So every time they get down to that level, they're able to either upgrade the class that they're in or pick another subclass. And that
yep,
subclass doesn't necessarily knock out the things that they've already learned as long as they've gotten, quote, spell levels up to a certain level before they transfer it out, which I
yep,
think is fantastic. Why do you just have to stop knowing a spell just because you don't have the page anymore? Like you've
yeah.
cast it 1,000 times, you should know the spell, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
in my personal humble opinion, that is my favorite part right there. Like
yeah.
it's not just spells, it's skills because you can
Hmm.
get your skills up. I liked that in the beginning when we were going through it, we didn't really, and they still don't really fully understand the mechanics of how to get them leveled up. So it's not like you're going through D&D and you're playing and they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, by the way, take 3,000 experience points." And you're like, "Well, I'm level 2." No, it's they have everything and they haven't touched on it lately, but they have like hidden skills that you can't see that
Yep,
all of a sudden, wait, I didn't used to think that way and now I am thinking that way, but just a little bit, like 0.5%, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's what I like.
We call it Carl. Yeah, the idea that when you look at your character interface, when you're looking at your character there,
Yeah.
you have like this tab of hidden skills. There are things like walking and breathing and blinking and just dumb things like that that aren't really skills, but they're just things that you could do. And some of those things you can do better than other of those things like that. Reading, obviously, and things like that. So
Yep.
the idea that those could be skills that may or may not matter, obviously aren't going to matter when you're facing down some giant monster trying to eat your face.
No.
Um, you're not going to suddenly forget how to breathe.
Right.
Um, but yeah, the idea that you have those things somewhere in there, and they may or may not come into play down the road.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, the
uh,
one I liked
uh,
was the one like oh, what is the one they just learned in the middle of that battle? They were like, "Oh, by the way, if you write out the spell, everybody can give you a book and you can just rip the page and eat it, and then
Yep.
you know the spell. That genius.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that's a so yeah. So some of the item mechanics, the game mechanics that are in the system there, they're in the world there are just so unique, and the classes are ridiculous. I mean, literally, I no. This is a very minor spoiler, but uh, Carl class is compensated anarchist.
Yep.
What does that mean? Who knows? It gave him a bunch of explosive skills. It gave him some other odd abilities.
He blows stuff up,
Uh, he blows stuff up and he beats stuff up with his fists and his feet, especially his feet.
especially
Um,
his feet.
yes, but the idea that yeah, these things are really like other characters. Like one of the characters that they meet there is a monster truck driver. What does that do? It gives them vehicle skills, and it also gives them some crazy momentum ability when they run into things,
That
like
momentum
monsters would have.
ability was
Oh my god,
insanity.
yes.
I had to
So,
reread that page like 7 times because I'm like,
uh,
wait, what? He's
what?
already
What?
in motion. He gets a
Oh
bonus for being
no.
in motion? That
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
I
So
yeah.
some some fun, weird abilities and skills and spells, and I mean, I'll just say best spell, hands down, my favorite, and I won't describe it or go in there. What's called Run Little Gunter Run. Favorite spell in the entire game. I love it, and every time it's used, it's epic and awesome and hilarious. So that's the kind of thing, though, is that you have this game system where things are just crazy and chaotic, and then you go to things like um, and so let's talk about some other systems, some other
Mhm.
lit RPGs, and some systems that were involved there. Um, I'll come back to He Who Fights with Monsters in a minute because it's very interesting how it's done. But another one, probably the second lit RPG after I listened to Dungeon Crawler Carl, was a series called Chrysalis. Chrysalis is about the main character who, from our world. I'm not sure where he's. I think from London or someplace. I don't know. He has an Australian accent, so maybe not. Wherever he's from, he's this young guy who's homeless and he dies and then wakes up in the dungeon in a underground subterranean full-on like cavernous dungeon in the body of an ant, but not an ant the size of a dog. And he's a monstrous ant, and immediately he has to like start hiding from other monsters that are bigger and scarier, and then eventually start figuring out ways of like ambushing them or or finishing something off when they're fighting each other and maybe very opportunistic and everything else. And the main character's name also is Anthony. um
That's
um,
funny.
Great there. But essentially, this is a Chrysalis by Rhino Z. Very, very fun story there. You can get it on Audible. The first three books are one credit. Awesome, very fun stuff there. Same narrator as Dr. Clark Carl. That's why I got into it. Um,
I
but
I have a favorite anime that did something similar to that.
yep, the
Um
spider.
yes.
So you're a spider. So you're a spider. So what?
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Very
my
similar to that.
I
Very
now
similar. Also a little bit
disclaimer.
of I
I am
reincarnated as a slime.
yeah,
Little
yeah.
elements of that too.
I
Yeah.
am I'm disclaimer terrified of spiders.
Hmm.
Started watching this one because my brother was watching it and I went, I don't do spiders.
Hmm.
And he was like, well then just cover your eyes. I'm like, in the whole point of it. He's like, yeah, but just
Yeah,
watch
the
it.
main character is a spider. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, just watch it. There was a couple of parts where I had to like, yep, nope.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just listen. But the way that they built out the character level for her was
Hmm.
insanity because not only spoiler, not only did they build her out her whole leveling system, but they had to do it backwards because when we met her, she was at
Yep.
high level and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden they just went back. And so they had to
Yep. How did
reverse
she
it
get there?
right? It was
Yeah.
insanity. I was like,
Yep.
wow, I don't know that I can
So,
keep up with that.
well, what's fun? So in Chrysalis and one of the at the RPG Con, Rhino Z was on one of the panels, and they talked about the leveling systems they use and how they developed them.
Mhm.
And part of the thing that Rhino Z has been criticized for is that his leveling system is way slower than everyone else's. The progression of the characters is much slower, not in a bad way. It's just that there's a lot that goes on and things don't progress quite so crazy fast. Now, Anthony, by book 7, is ridiculously powerful, stupidly powerful. But level wise, he's not very high, and tier wise, he's not very high. There's still a lot of room to grow,
Hmm.
but he's been making steady progress and getting crazy powerful and a lot of things like that. And so the idea of what is so the idea that Anthony is gaining in level, yes, gaining skills and gaining skill points and raising his skills and unlocking new skills based on maxing out this skill and everything else.
Hmm.
But he's also getting from consuming other monsters in the dungeon, gaining biomass, and biomass is used to make mutations. And the mutations are like more sensitive feelers and bigger, stronger legs and tougher carapace and extra brains and
Brain.
magical core that you can store energy into. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is getting crazy. So um and some other fun stuff there. Anthony's great there. And the funny thing is the system is also a character that every time he talks to him, the system's like, you have leveled up, gain 4 skill points. And Anthony is like every time the system talks to him, he's like he starts calling it Gandalf because it sounds like a wizard. It's very like old and sagely kind of person.
You know what it
And
sounds
so
like?
and he's like, oh Gandalf, thank you for your wisdom. And so it's just like and so it's just again, the system in that one is also a character that gets interacted with a lot there.
Hmm.
The system in Dungeon Crawler Carl is utterly unhinged and probably one of the funniest things on that.
Magnificently unhinged. I love
New
him.
achievement.
I love him so
Yes,
much.
so crazy. But that's the thing. So in these stories, you have like the system can take on a character role. The system can be as crazy, complicated as it needs to be, or it can be just fairly straightforward. And so in some stories, the system is very sort of like subdued and just kind of like pops in occasionally.
Hmm.
In some, it's like in He Who Fights the Monsters, we'll talk about it here next year. It's you you have gained 25 gold and this item and
Hmm.
all that. And so and then level ups and skills and everything else happen there. So it's less of a character and more, unfortunately, a bit of an intrusion, which is, like I said, finding that balance of how to make the system interact interesting,
You know who I
but
think did it really well, and it
hmm,
goes back to an anime, is Shangri-La.
yeah,
They did it
yeah,
fantastic. They just because it's an anime, they had to think of like how we're going to build the anime and how we're going to build the system inside of the anime to run itself, right?
right.
So in Shangri-La, it's a system that is self-running, it's self-governing, it's got its own rules and things that criteria it has to meet in order for the event to trigger, right? It's not
Hmm.
like when we play World of Warcraft, we just go in and we're oh, we know at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, this monster is going to appear in this spot. Let's go camp it and kill it, right? No, it's
Hmm.
not how it
Yeah,
works in that one.
yeah.
And I
Well, some
think,
of them do.
well, yeah, well, I mean, but that was the point of Shangri-La. Like
Yeah,
it had its own system, but then it had the behind the scenes system. Like
yeah,
the world unlocking events was only at 1%, and they had been playing the game for 4 years.
yeah, yeah.
Like they
So
I was like,
um,
that's a game I want to play.
and I'll
I
say, along those same lines, it's going to be out in the fall. I cannot wait. Is the anime for Overgeared? It's another manhwa. Overgeared is amazing. It's also a very much people playing in a game.
Mhm.
They're not, and so virtual reality kind of game with that. But the main character is great, and just the crazy mechanics and what unlocks and things that the achievements that people get and titles they gain by being the first in the game to do this.
Mhm.
Um, very very fun, really cool around that. So very similar to Shangri-La Frontier in how they do that. Um, but getting into how that translates into a game that we're playing, a game that we're trying to run, is thinking about um, how to take those mechanical aspects of a role playing game and make them fun narratively, make them fun as part of a story. And you can, and I would love to see this. I think we're going to start seeing this creeping in more and more here, where the system and that level up process could become part of the story. The idea of having the AI in a Dungeon Crawler Carl game announcing when things happen and telling you, and this is this is just the DM is just saying, "Oh yes, this happens." No, boss battle, and going to like this describing the boss, and so you have this thing happening where the game can become part of the story. Like the actual mechanics of the game can become a part of the story there. And it's something we haven't really seen much in role playing games, but I'm interested to see where this goes or how that might happen. Because we're seeing role playing mechanics working their way into fiction. How do we get the fiction and role playing mechanics to work into our games? So I'm to see how this works out because I know there is sort of like you're basically as running Dungeon Crawler Carl, you're basically playing the AI. Like you're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're announcing the loot boxes, you're announcing the boss battles. I mean, so it's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays out in terms of how to run that. Um, so some other for those of you who are, if you're interested in LitRPG, I'm going to give you some suggestions, some ones that I've gotten into. I've mentioned a few, obviously, Dungeon Carl, Chrysalis. I mentioned Heretical Fishing. Uh, it's a very, very odd story where the main character is sort of like just wants to be left alone and do his own thing and kind of tries to ignore the system while everyone else is trying to embrace the system. Um, which has been a very interesting story how it goes out like that, how that's kind of playing out. I'm only on book two, so I'm not sure where it's going to go. I think the sixth or seventh book just came out. Um, but then you have other games where the system is the character is very much embracing the system and adapting it here. He Who Fights with Monsters has a very interesting mechanic of the system actually alters the person. Like when you so the idea is that
Mm.
you can absorb an essence, and the essence can be like darkness or lightning or fire or metal or dragon, and certain powers and abilities will unlock by taking on that essence. When you get your third essence, you're essentially what'll happen is you get three essences, and then a fourth essence will essentially form from the three you've taken and the abilities that you focused on. So it's usually going to be related in some way or so augmenting the abilities you have or anything else. But that fourth essence, when you get that, you change. You be Instead of being just a normal person anymore, you're now an adventurer and you become bronze rank. And bronze rank, you literally you shed out all the toxins from your body. You become almost superhuman in some way. That first level of you leaving behind your mortal humanity and becoming an actual like first like baseline superhero. Your abilities grow, your levels go up there, and eventually, once you unlock enough abilities and gain enough skill points and do all the things here, you move into silver rank, and then from silver to gold, gold to diamond. And diamonds are extremely rare. The progression from gold to bronze to, I'm sorry, bronze to silver to gold takes a long time, and takes a lot of effort. But the crazy things you learn along the way are what's really fun. Um, but that whole idea of these essences being like you like the main character, that very minor spoilers here you're gonna get in the first couple of chapters. His first three essences are darkness, blood, and ruin. Like you wouldn't expect a heroic like main character to have those kinds of abilities. And the fourth essence he picks up is even scarier. He is a monster of a person with the personality of a total goofball. I mean, he is just a sarcastic, silly, like kind of definitely crazy guy, um, with the most horrific power set in the game, in the story. Um, but that's the kind of thing. Is it? it's this really unique way of looking at building a character and then how your abilities and the abilities you gain are somewhat random based on like leveling up and gaining new things and it's very interesting. I'm really interested to see how they're turning this into a role playing game because I have not been able to figure out the mechanics of that world just from reading them or listening to them. So I'm looking forward to that. But then you have something like The Wandering Inn. Um, if you really want to take a long, if you want to just dive in and spend about 450 more hours listening to an amazing story with a crazy bunch of characters, this is this thing for you. The first 16 books have one narrator, Andrea Parsnow, who's an amazing, probably my second favorite narrator, period. Jeff Hayes being number one, Andrea being number two. Um, just an absolute crazy amount of stories, but the audiobooks average at about 34 to 35 hours each. It is the longest series in print. The most number of words in print. It's upwards of I think it just passed 15 million words, which is way more than
Insanity.
any other. It's crazy.
It's
Uh,
insanity.
Andrea stopped narrating after book 16, and a new narrator is taking over, Erin Bennett, who's very good. I just haven't gotten into it yet much yet there, and she's on her fourth book. So,
I
the
don't blame them for wanting to tap
yeah,
out.
yeah. Andrea was like, it takes so much time, and there's so many characters, and it's so
Hmm.
she like yeah. You when you listen to her do characters, like this isn't the same person. It is.
Hmm.
She has the craziest range. But anyway, the Wandering In though, in terms of game mechanics, is it feels almost random. People have a class like the main character. Well, one of the main character, Aaron, um, Aaron Solstice. Her main class is innkeeper. It eventually levels up into magical innkeeper, but she also has a couple levels in warrior, a couple levels in singer. God, what else? She gains a couple levels here and there in some other things like that, with some new skills attached to them and everything else. But it really kind of feels the the system will announce your level basically when you're about to fall asleep is when it announces your levels. When it has a kind of when you're winding down and like ding, you gain level in this. Like what? Um, but the system is very mysterious. There's there's no explanation for why this system is what it is, where it comes from, why it does what it does, but it's there, and everybody gains classes. It's a thing of like you can be a strategist, you can be a cook, you can be a warrior of various kinds, or a wizard or whatever. Um, and what sets people apart from monsters is gaining levels. And so it's a very interesting world, but the mechanics of the system are very not defined, which it makes for an interesting thing. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when someone's going to level up, what abilities they're going to get, but they're usually pretty epic when they come around. Um, so it's interesting to see how that happens. Um, so yeah, uh, some other so Wandering In, great series if you want to dive in and spend a lot of time with a lot of crazy characters and an amazing voice actress. Um, I've also just started listening to Azrinth Healer, um, also by Andrea, and narrated by Andrea Parsnow. It's a series of done by an author named Rhaegar. Don't know. Nobody has ever met Rhaegar in person, from what I hear. Just like the author of Wandering In is Pirate Abba. Nobody knows what they look like, who they are, nothing about them. They kept themselves totally anonymous. Rhaegar is the same way. But Azran Healer is a very high fantasy world with leveling mechanics there, and it's an isekai situation of the main character, Aaliyah, gets brought into this world. She was a fast food worker about to start up her pre-med studies in college, and then just woke up in this fantasy world being chased by drakes through a forest. um, Stumbles into a mysterious monastery, gains a crazy powerful class that she levels up in and gets utterly ridiculous. And by the second book, she is an absolute beast. Actually, by the end of the first book, she's a beast, but she's even more powerful. So it's one of those ones where it's like, what's the cap in this world? Because they're just getting more and more powerful really
Yeah.
quickly. But it's interesting because the classes and abilities that they gain, and how they stack together and do things is very very cool. Very interesting. Uh, the only issue I have with it is the system is annoying because whenever, like, literally it's ding, you gain a level in this. Ding, you gain a level in this. Gain ding, like stop it. Like, it's
There
it's
there are a few animes that do that where they show
yeah.
that you leveled up a skill, but like if you leveled it up 100 times, you see the pop-up window for each one. And I'm like,
Yeah,
we don't need that. That's
yeah,
that's not
exactly.
necessary.
Yeah. Again, it's the balance of game mechanics in the story to the narration of the story there. And some authors do it better than others there. I will say that's the only beef I have with that story. Otherwise, it's amazing. The world and the characters and everything else are awesome. Um, but yeah, the idea of, and that one is it's a very straightforward. It's a little random in what abilities you get at different levels and when you and but the progression of things makes sense, at least. Um, but when they get to a certain point, they can level up their classes to like an advanced class, and the more amazing things you've done unlocks more options for your advanced class there. So it's always best to take the one that with the highest requirements because they're crazy. Um, but anyway, that's sort of again getting a like if you like anime with level up progression and stuff like that. If you like that sort of thing like that, Lit RPG is definitely uh, the type of stories for you. And I do highly recommend the audiobooks because they just let you kind of gloss over. The funniest thing is in Chrysalis, whenever Anthony is doing his like status menu stuff or going through his level stuffs there, um, Jeff Hayes always inserts this. If you don't want to listen to this, you can skip to the next chapter. So all of that is like at the end of a chapter, so you just skip to it if you want to don't listen to the whole thing there, or you can listen to the whole thing if you want. But um, really early on when the Anthony's like status stuff would come into play there, you were able to just like Rhino Z put it at the end of each chapter, so you could
That's
just skip
smart.
to the chapter
That's
and
smart.
bypass it. If you're writing lit RPG and you're having somebody narrate it, make sure you do that. It's a really great way to go.
It is
Um,
because it gives me the freedom to go, I don't need this BS. And
yep.
or if
Or
I'm rereading it for like the second time or like halfway through the chapter that I just skipped, I'm like, wait, how did you? And then I can go back to it, right? That is the freedom to be able to read in the order of which we want to read is fantastic.
mhm,
Doing it
absolutely.
that way.
So it's one of the ones like occasionally it's like, I haven't heard what his stats are for a while. I wonder what he's at these days. And so I might listen to it. It's like a minute or 2 minutes or so.
Hmm.
So I've even sometimes I'll just go like double speed for that part just to zoom through it, then go back to normal speed again. But anyway, uh so I mean the elements of a game system. I mean, when you think about like playing D&D, think about playing any role playing game. You have levels, you've got stats, you've got classes in there, and the class abilities, you've got spells and skills you gain, you've got gear with abilities you gain from your gear, and those are all elements that add to your character's identity. It also and that's true in fiction as well. I mean, Drizzt Do'Urden, even though we don't know what his classes and classes, stats, and levels are, we know about his swords and what they can do. We
Hmm.
know about his figurine of wondrous power, his Black Panther, Gwenmavar. Like that's an item in D&D. You can have that item there, and it's a way to use that. It's so
Awesome item.
exactly
Just so
yes.
y'all
Some
know. So those of
some
you
are
who
better than
don't know,
others.
it's an awesome item.
Yeah. I wish you could use them more often, and in ways that were, because like, unfortunately, I love the guard dog, but he's so weak and he gets crushed like immediately you bring him out there. If you once you get
Yeah.
past like level 5, it's kind of useless. Um, great for setting up guard duty though, which is kind of nice. You can set the guard dog to guard you while you sleep, um, because he's really good at spotting things.
Hmm.
But so that's the kind of thing where those items you get. can really lend themselves to a unique character, so unique ways of overcoming obstacles in a story. And so that's true of your of the books that you read and the games that we play. So uh, I would say, yeah, check out these books as inspiration for how to make that kind of thing something that you can add to your games.
Mhm.
Let's see here. It's hard to discuss these without spoiling them because obviously there's a lot that goes on, and I don't want to give away too much in some of these because obviously
Disclaimer,
I
spoilers.
it's given for spoilers here, but then again too. So um, if you're interested, check them out. Obviously,
Mhm.
but we will try not to spoil it too much. Um, I will say seeing how abilities grow, how characters grow, how
Mhm.
classes get more powerful. We you get some of that. You get that in D&D, but not in the way that you do in the narrative in the books. I think
I
D&D is fairly
was
limited what you can do.
I was reading a book that has just become an anime, and it's about a baby dragon that is hatched in an egg. Like, we start out seeing this egg wiggle, and every time it wiggles, it gets a status bonus for wiggling. I was like, oh, that's like getting a bonus for walking, but technically we do that with our own pedometers on our hands, right? So,
Well,
okay,
as a kid,
I
you learn to crawl, and you get stronger by crawling. Eventually, you
wiggling.
get better dexterity by balance, and you can now stand and move and walk, and
Yep.
like we do that as people.
So yeah,
Uh,
he got bonuses for wiggling. He got bonuses for rolling because he rolled himself down a hill.
sure, sure, yeah, yeah.
Yep. And at the end, when he stopped moving, he got the "You did not scramble" award. It was hilarious. I died. You
I
did not
also
scramble award.
and see that's where I wish that some of our games that we I mean
Mhm.
I would love to in some games incorporate that. Yes. Um yes. D&D is limited because all the players say every session, did I level?
Yeah.
I mean, because the only way in D&D, really the only way to get better abilities, to get better spells, to get stronger is to level. There's nothing in between levels that let you do that in D&D. And D. And so I really like the idea of having more like those are the levels are milestones, but I really feel like there needs to be something that happens in between. If it's getting a cool item that gives you an ability, getting a skill that you didn't have before. Um, yeah,
I liked
let's see what other skills I can improve.
I
I mean,
liked
yeah.
giving my players the ability to I'm a blacksmith. Okay, cool.
Hmm.
You're proficient in it because that's how it gets built out. But blacksmiths also have to deal with leatherworking. So would you also like to be a leather worker? Well, I can't pick up that
Hmm.
profession. Says who? It's actually written in the book for you to say you can have all the professions if you so choose. It just takes X amount of time of dedicated time of your character doing a thing.
Yeah.
And there are some DMs who I have played with who have been able to seamlessly put that into the game. My problem is I haven't quite figured it out how to make that seamless because it's okay, you guys are in a city, what do you want to do? And 9 times out of 10, it's get out of the city, go kill a thing. Or
Yeah.
go chase
Or
down the red herring that I trapped over in some other place. Or, it's
go
never
shopping for Magico to spend our gold.
right, right. It's never
Yeah.
form relationships with the NPCs. It's not
Yeah.
get to know the city itself. And Jim, you were really good at the beginning when we were going through of forming those
Hmm.
relationships. Now, to your credit, my brother was there, so it wasn't like
Sure. Sure.
we had a reason to go explore areas because you
Yeah.
had plotted it out for me to be able to go, oh, we're going here. Oh, there's the brother. All right, now I
Yep.
get to kick in his door every week. Like
Yep.
but
Yeah.
and from that, we got to develop around his place. We got to develop around the cathedral that I'd like to hang out in, even though it's not a paladin cathedral, at least not
Yeah.
my deity. Right?
Sorry.
It's okay. I pick a hard deity, let me tell you. So like it's and then we got to go play in the Duchess's house that was up in another place. So you did do it really well. However, when we moved out of the city, we didn't get that again, which just it prolongs the game. And some players
It does.
don't have an attention span to be able to continue playing more than a couple of years at a time.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, and
you get busy
it,
because you're the DM, life
well,
happens.
it's also the type of story you're going to tell. It's the idea behind when the plot gets rolling and there's things that need to be done. It's hard to take a couple of weeks off to learn how to be a blacksmith.
Yeah.
Like while you're doing that, the dragon's raising the village you didn't bother to go save because
Hmm.
you're here. Bing, 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 bing. Hey, I made a sword. Cool. Um, but there's stuff that has to get done, and you're when you get more important, you have less time. This is the this is how things work in the real world too.
When you get more important, you have less time. That's
Exactly.
Jim's headstone.
Exactly. It- but that's true of storytelling in general. A lot of storytelling is getting to know things, and it's if the story lends itself to having downtime, if the story is, hey, you've accomplished this thing, nothing's going on right now. What do you want to do? And that's where the players have the opportunity to say, hey, I want to go find out about this. I want to go learn how to do this. I want to go study this kind of thing or go travel and check this out. The issue with doing that, though, is that's six people going in six different directions and trying to figure out what to do with that.
Hmm.
Hard to do that in a game where you have a plot that's going to happen there. So it's one of the things where it's like when people are really into like their downtime actions and want to tell you, hey, in between game sessions
Hmm.
during that 2 weeks we have off, this is what I want to go do. Well, you can't like it's hard to have a game session where it's like, okay, make some tests to see if you learn how to be a blacksmith. Hey, you have this conversation with this random NPC over here to see if you
Right?
get to know them one there. It's hard to juggle that.
It's a
Just have
lot
your
of work.
heck with the villagers. Have your party bard create more. They're not all those kinds of bards that now.
Ugh.
um, but
I'm still looking at Artificer and how I can
mm,
integrate them into my games because they are so difficult.
well, here's the thing, I mean, uh, my artificer, Nils,
Hmm.
that you all met there. When I played him, um, my whole thing was I described my spells by having gadgets and things that let me cast spells. It was just the special effect of it. My healing spell was I had a little mechanical spider, little clockwork spider thing like that,
Hmm.
with a reservoir of healing potion, and I would just let it go, and it would run up and eject someone with the healing potion and then run back to me. That was my
Nice.
healing spell. My lightning spell or my shatter spell was I had this like clockwork gauntlet thing that would roll with there and blast out something like that and then reconfigure itself. I had gadgets and stuff to accomplish things here. Now I could just say, oh, I just wave my hands and say some words and boom, that something happens. But when you have that creative freedom, which I think artificers really have,
Hmm.
um,
It's
uh,
almost like you'd have to build a world specific for 5 or 6 people to be artificers.
well, because I also had an artificer in the world that was my kiddos D&D group
Hmm.
uh one of the characters in that party is an artificer, but he's an alchemist. All of his spells are potions. His fireball potion is literally he takes it out, shakes up a vial and throws it and then boom, fireball. His healing spell is literally he uncorks a healing potion and gives it to someone. And he essentially then at the end of the day, when everyone else is resting there, he's mixing up new stuff. um, to all the ingredients he knows to redo his spells for the next
Right.
day. So there is that aspect of like you can be creative with how you do your magic, how you do your things. And as a DM, if you want to encourage that, just let them like you don't need to get into the mechanics. If your spells involve like having like explodey vials or or blue weird little like bladders of acid that go everywhere. I mean, that's what makes it unique and what makes it fun. And it sets apart that artificer, from that wizard, from that cleric.
Mhm.
Um, so, and that's one of the where the narrative elements, those uh, the storytelling aspects there, don't let the game mechanics get in the way of the story of the cool things there. If what they describe is cool, then let it happen. Um, I just I can't say it enough. Is like, don't penalize someone for being creative with how they do things. As long as it doesn't ruin the story,
Mhm.
then cool. I mean, I don't see a reason why not. Um,
What I like
and
is
that's where,
you get those people who like to do that, who like to describe what they're doing, who like, yeah, you, who like to get the whole way in, which it does help. Let me tell you, Jim, it really does, because you're going in, you're doing it, and you're consistently doing it every week, right? It makes other people comfortable to try to do it, so that
yeah.
they know, hey, look, the DM's not being a complete total jocktwad to this person. Let me try. Just, let me throw this potion, and like the whole premise of it is I don't know what I rolled yet. So I'm gonna just chuck this potion and see how it works, and I describe how it goes, and then the DM tells me if it worked or not. Right? Absolutely. I, as a DM, love it when players describe how they want to do what they want to do. And then I'm just like, yeah, sure, but here's also the other thing you did, because you rolled a nat one. So it's not a
Mhm.
punishment, but you didn't do what you thought you did. Like,
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Uh, I have not heard that one before.
what?
A jock twat.
That's what they are.
Okay, I love it. It's great. That totally caught me off guard. I was not prepared for that. Whew.
Jim died
Oh,
on TV. We have it filmed.
oh, man. Um,
The
yep.
time. Uh-huh.
Yeah, sometimes party members explain the rules to the DM. I mean, it I
Yep.
look at it this way, is some players are just so, and this thing, you have those rules layers, you have those people that like, but that's not the way it's supposed to work. I mean, at some point, you might need to rein something in. There's anything that is literally breaking the rules. Then obviously it's like, okay, that's not how that works. You can't do that. And I would say, if you can, when all possible, do that in between games.
Hmm.
Do that like as an aside, saying, "Hey, just so you know, that's really cool, but that's not how that works. So can we like bring that back around to where it actually makes sense for how that spell works, how that ability works?" Um,
One of my
and then
favorite
if
things
you,
to say is, that's what we're going to do today,
yeah,
but I'm going to look into it, and then I'll discuss it with you outside of game,
yep,
and we're going to move on from there. That is one of my favorite lines as a DM. If you guys don't understand that yet, it is the best line you can give to a player. You still
mhm,
allow them the ability to do what they wanted to do, but then
mhm,
you educate on how it should work. And also,
yeah,
please remember, guys, it's a game.
yeah,
It's
it's fun.
it's supposed to be fun. And if we have you have the guys who are the rules Nazis, as they like to call themselves, um, y- let them do what they want to do, and on their turn, they can do what the rules say they're supposed to do. They
Yeah,
have the option to not to.
yeah. And it's one thing if someone says, "Hey, I'm not sure how this works" or whatever, then by all
Hmm.
means jump in and help.
Hmm.
Or if they're like, but trying, I've been like, I might do it at a moment like, oh wait a minute, it's actually only two dice, not four dice. It's like because so mechanics wise of that, it's like, oh no, that's the wrong number of dice here. It should be
Hmm.
this. Um, and now, but if are you trying to stack those two abilities? Okay, I'll let it go for this time here, but let's talk about that
Hmm.
because that it won't work that way every time. Because then you have unintended consequences. Okay, well, I'll let it go for 4 days this time. Then they crit and suddenly it's 8 dice. Like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Hmm.
um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so things can get out of hand real quick there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's one of those things where it's not going to break anything to let them do it a certain way. Um, but yeah, if it's a matter of they're just confused and they're not sure how it works,
Hmm.
And as a player, if the DM is okay with it, um, you can like correct them if you need to. Um,
I think my favorite
and
part is you get players in the game who are, it has to be done this way. And you get players who are like you and me, where it's just, I'm going to do the thing. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, great. Right. And then you get players who are complete and total chaos gremlins, which I can
yeah,
be on occasion. Right. They are the complete opposite of the people who have to do it right by the rules. So if I allow the chaos gremlin to rule just a little bit and I let the rules person roll the way they want to just a little bit, it will balance the game enough that it feels like everybody's getting what they're supposed to get.
yeah, yeah,
And that's the hard
exactly.
part, right?
It
Like
is.
making sure
It's
that
finding that balance.
everybody feels the attention.
Yeah. And now you brought up earlier your point here. Coming up here, and we're coming close on time here, so we're probably going to sign off here pretty soon. But one thing I want to kind of say is that is a great segue to I think one of our upcoming shows. If not our next one, we'll try and see if we can pull it off here. We're going to revisit how to be a good player.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about it in the past here, and I'm hoping we can get our guest person in here to discuss that because the person that talked about that suggested that. I'd like to bring somebody in to get a little other perspective on that. So hopefully it'll work out and we can have another guest on here to talk about being a good player. Because I want to say, I think the last we talked about being a good player, I don't think you were part of the discussion even then. So this we could have a three-way discussion about being a good player.
Oh.
Because that was a long time ago when I talked about that. I talked about I think I talked more about the different types of players, and then I got into some things some suggestions for how to be a good player, but it wasn't the whole show. So we're
I
gonna so
think I was listening and typing for
I'm sure
that show. I don't think that I
yeah, I
was
think
producing.
yeah. So and I don't think you were yeah, so it may have been way back before then.
Hmm.
Um So anyway, we're going to revisit that and the idea of when is it appropriate? Is it ever appropriate for a player to explain the rules of the DM? I would. I'm just going to answer that question here right now. As a DM, if I'm not sure, like especially if it's your character, and I'm like, how does that work again? Explain it to me. If I'm
Hmm.
asking you to explain it to me, but if I say, oh, hey, here's how this works there. No, actually, it's supposed to do this and this and this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine. Like there's a way to do that. And
Hmm.
as a DM, it can be partially on the DM of like, you know what, I'm not sure how that works. Oh, I forgot that, or I didn't realize that. Thank you for letting me know. Um, but the idea where it's like, oh, DM, you're doing that wrong, or you shouldn't be doing it that way, that's not being a good player.
No, I think
So
that's more of a whisper on the back end, and then when you go take a break,
sure.
or if you are like done with game, that is something you can talk about afterwards. But like
Yeah.
I, it's hard because I want the rules to be the rules, but some of these spells that Wizards of the Coast has created make absolutely no sense. You have to be
Yeah.
like a person who understands educational English at the very core level to be able to understand this. And
Mm,
some of it is just like it does this and this and this and this, but it has to meet these conditions before it meets that condition. And I'm like,
yeah.
what are you talking about?
Hey,
Like,
what a slide rule to figure this out. What's going on here? Is this a little
right?
logic puzzle to make figure out how a spell works there? Yeah, sometimes they get a little bit too in the weeds with it there. And so like, just give me the basics. And that's where some systems with simpler magic are kind of cool, where it's
Hmm.
basically just like, hey, yeah, there's that ability. That's how it works. Cool. I think Daggerheart does a better job of that one there in terms of like their spells are very much like they make sense, but they also give you enough freedom to make it look and feel a certain
Hmm.
way. And even like, like I said, if you have fire magic, do a cantrip based thing. You can yes, you can affect the brightness of a torch or snuff a campfire because you have fire spells. Why not? You don't need a special cantrip for that. Like, no, you got fire magic. Mess with fire.
Right?
Um, yeah. So yeah, so I like that aspect of like we have a little more freedom to describe things or explain things with magic and stuff. So, but again, to bring this back full circle here, again, we're talking about a situation where game mechanics can sometimes get in the way of of good storytelling, of fun storytelling, and so I if you're interested in how to make that happen a little bit there, Lit RPG is a good way to go because again, it's got a game mechanic base, but it's also telling you a story and how to work that system into the story and not have it overpower the story. Like the system is there, but it's a means to an end to tell a story. And that's what role playing games I really feel should be, and what Lit RPG gets into as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, um, thanks, Dow. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you too. If you're watching this now in the future, there, if you have any other suggestions for lit RPGs that you've read that I didn't mention there, please drop them in the comments there. You have any suggestions or want to talk about it in the tavern? Come hang out in the Temple Taker Tavern there, our Discord server. The link is in our description below there. If you're not already a part of the server, you can join up, play in some games, chat with folks. Um, it kind of goes in cycles as opposed to how active things are right now. We're a little bit of a downturn right now because of summertime. People are doing things and doing else there. So, uh, I'm sure we'll have more games popping up here soon and more DMs getting involved.
Mhm.
If you want to play, if you want to run, come and join us. Hang out there. If you just want to talk about gaming stuff or whatever, spend, read some jokes. We're all here to have fun.
Yeah.
So. Uh, Hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks to kind of um, talk about being good players. Hopefully with a guest if we can arrange it. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, Nans, for being here as always and joining in.
I can when I can.
Yep, absolutely. So as always, love to have you at the tavern there. Stop by anytime. Drinks are on us. We'll see you again soon. Have fun, folks.